In our daily lives, we're constantly bombarded with the idea that a man's silence is, by definition, a signal that something is fundamentally wrong. The dominant social narrative leads us to believe this quietness is a form of punishment, a refusal to connect, or, at worst, a red flag indicating disinterest. We've been taught to see this absence of words not as a pause, but as an emptiness, a vacuum that generates a profound sense of anxiety. After all, society has conditioned us to value the noise of constant communication, to fill every space with dialogue and expression. This makes us fear the unsaid, leading us to project our own insecurities and fears onto the quietness of another. But what if this perspective is a colossal mistake? What if the truth is more complex, more profound, and infinitely more powerful than we've been led to believe? What would happen if we dared to question this universal belief? What if, instead of being a sign of absence or disconnection, a man's silence were, in reality, the purest and most intense manifestation of his inner presence? What if all this time we've been fixed on the surface, judging what we see, and ignoring the vast, submerged truth that lies just beneath? This story is not about a lack of connection, but about the most profound and sacred form of inner connection a man can achieve within himself. It is the naked truth about what happens when the external world falls silent and the internal one begins to speak. This quiet isn't the cold, empty space we assume it to be. It's a rich, fertile ground where seeds of transformation are being sown. In this silence, the external world, with all its demands and noise, fades away, allowing the internal landscape to come into sharp focus. It's a voluntary retreat from the superficial clamor, a shedding of the public persona to reconnect with the authentic self. He isn't withdrawing from you, he is diving deeper into himself. The silence is not an end in itself, but a means to an end, a passage into a world of introspection and genuine self-discovery. A man's silence is a pilgrimage inward. It is the moment when he ceases to be a participant in the external theater of life and becomes a quiet observer of his own soul. It is a time for confronting what has been long ignored or suppressed, the burdens of responsibility, the pressures of expectation, the whispers of unfulfilled potential. This stillness is a sanctuary, a sacred temple built of introspection and quiet contemplation. Within these walls, he is not running away from the world, but actively engaging with the most important part of it, his own inner world. So before we leap to conclusions and fill the quiet with our own interpretations, we must pause. We are invited to see this silence not as a barrier, but as an open invitation to a new understanding. This is a chance to move beyond the superficial and to appreciate the complex, often unseen, work of the human psyche. What we perceive as a shutdown might actually be a turning on, a deep internal power-up that is necessary for growth. The man who goes silent is not lost. He is searching for something within himself. According to Carl Jung, this period of silence is a form of psychological hibernation. It is the creation of a private cocoon where the old self dissolves and a new, more integrated self begins to take shape. Jung believed that true transformation happens in the quiet, hidden places of the psyche, away from the prying eyes and judgments of the external world. A man must enter this chrysalis to deal with his inner demons, to confront his own shadow, and to emerge not as a changed man, but as a whole one. This silence is the psychological womb where a new, more integrated version of himself is being born. Carl Jung would argue that a man's silence is a profound encounter with his shadow self. This is the part of his personality that he has repressed, denied, or hidden. The insecurities, the fears, the buried anger. In the stillness, these unconscious elements surface, demanding to be acknowledged. He is not just brooding, he is wrestling with the parts of himself that he has spent a lifetime avoiding. The silence provides the necessary space for this confrontation, a dark room where he can finally see the contours of his shadow without the blinding light of external distractions. It is in facing this darkness that he can begin to find his light. The silence is a crucial step in what Jung called the process of individuation. the journey towards becoming a complete, authentic individual. This process involves the integration of opposing forces within the psyche, the masculine and feminine, the light and dark, the conscious and unconscious. A man's quiet introspection is a way of harmonizing these elements. He is not running from the world. He is preparing to return to it as a more balanced and centered being. He is not isolating himself, but is, in fact, laying the psychological groundwork for more meaningful and authentic connections in the future. This profound silence, therefore, is an act of courage. It is the conscious choice to stop living from the outside in and to begin living from the inside out. He is no longer seeking external validation or relying on superficial interactions to define his worth. Instead, he is undertaking the most vital journey of all, the discovery of his own self. This inward turn, far from being a sign of weakness, is a powerful act of reclaiming his own narrative and becoming the author of his own existence. The world, however, finds this inner work deeply unsettling. We are uncomfortable with silence because it forces us to look inward, to confront our own anxieties. When a man retreats into this quiet, society often sees it as a breakdown in communication, a failing, a sign that something is wrong. We are trained to ask, "What's wrong?" rather than to honor the process. This misunderstanding creates a deep sense of alienation, not just for the man, but for those around him. The silence, which should be respected as a sign of deep work, is instead treated as a problem to be solved. For the man himself, this period can be lonely and profoundly misunderstood. He might feel a gnawing sense of guilt or anxiety, feeling as though he is failing those around him by not conforming to their expectations of constant engagement. He knows he is on a vital, necessary journey, but the lack of validation from the outside world can make him doubt his own process. He may feel like he is a ghost in his own life, present but invisible, going through a transformation that no one else can see or comprehend. This is the crucible of his journey, a solitary path he must walk. If you are a man going through this, or if you know a man who is, it's important to understand the emotional landscape. This isn't a simple phase. It is a struggle. It is the pain of feeling disconnected while simultaneously working on a deeper connection. The frustration, the anxiety, the sense of not belonging, these are not signs of failure. They are the natural byproducts of a profound psychological shift. They are the friction of the old self being shed and the new self being born. This is the weight of change. The burden of this silence often falls on those who care about him, who are left to wonder and worry. This is a legitimate challenge. However, it is a call for a new kind of empathy, one that honors the need for individual space and introspection without demanding an immediate explanation. It's an invitation to trust the process, even when you can't see the destination. The silence isn't an act of neglect. It is an act of deep psychological responsibility that he must undertake for himself. The man who embraces this silence and journeys through his inner world emerges not as a new man, but as a whole one. He is not fixed or cured of his silence, but rather he has integrated it. This stillness becomes a wellspring of inner strength and self-knowledge. He is no longer dependent on external noise or constant activity to feel alive. His inner world, once a place of chaos and contradiction, becomes a source of wisdom and clarity. The silence is no longer an escape, but a permanent vital part of his being. This deep psychological work transforms the man into a powerful force. His presence is no longer loud and attention-seeking. It is quiet and magnetic. He does not need to fill the room with words because his mere presence speaks volumes. This is a man who knows himself, who has faced his own darkness and has emerged with a profound sense of purpose. He is no longer swayed by the opinions of others because his self-worth is rooted in the unshakable ground of his own being. As the man becomes whole, he becomes what Jung would consider dangerous, not in a destructive sense, but in a powerful, uncompromising way. A man who is whole is a man who can no longer be easily manipulated or swayed by external pressures. He is dangerous because his inner compass is now aligned with his true north. His integrity is unwavering, his convictions are his own, and his actions are rooted in a deep sense of self-respect. He is a man who has found his own light and can no longer be forced to live in the shadows. Ultimately, the journey through silence is a journey to true freedom. It is the freedom to be an autonomous individual, an unshakable presence in a world that craves conformity. This is the highest form of self-love, the commitment to doing the necessary work, even when it is difficult, lonely, and misunderstood. The silence is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a life lived authentically and on one's own terms. After the profound journey into his inner world, a man does not simply return to the way things were. He emerges from the chrysalis of his silence as a more deeply connected and authentic version of himself. The time spent in isolation was not a rejection of the world, but a preparation for a more meaningful engagement with it. He no longer feels the need to perform or to seek validation from others. Instead, his interactions are rooted in a new sense of purpose and integrity. He is not less present, he is more present than ever before, but in a way that is quiet, grounded, and deeply intentional. This new presence is magnetic. It is not born of a need for attention, but from a profound inner calm. The man who has done this work can be still in a way that others cannot. He listens with his entire being. His words carry more weight, and his actions are more deliberate. His silence is no longer a void. It is a profound container for his wisdom. He has learned to be comfortable in the quiet, and in doing so, he makes others feel comfortable in their own. He has become a sanctuary for himself, and in turn, becomes a grounding force for others. This is the man who understands that his true power lies not in external achievements, but in the sanctity of his inner world. He has learned to protect this sacred space from the noise and demands of a busy world. The journey has taught him to be his own home, his own source of comfort and strength. He no longer looks to others to fill a void. Instead, he can offer his presence from a place of genuine wholeness. This is a powerful shift, from being a seeker of external validation to becoming a source of internal strength. The man who has completed this cycle has ended his need to perform. He no longer needs to say the right thing or act the way he thinks he should. He is simply himself, and that is enough. The silence has purified his intentions, leaving only what is true and essential. He has learned to live without masks, and this honesty is his greatest gift to the world. He has found his voice not in a loud proclamation, but in a deep, unwavering stillness. Emerging from this period of intense introspection does not mean all challenges vanish. The man who has undergone this process now faces a new, often unspoken difficulty: reconnecting with a world that has not changed. People who were once used to his external energy or emotional expressiveness may struggle to understand his new, quieter presence. He might find that some relationships built on a foundation of the old self no longer fit. This is a necessary and sometimes painful part of the journey. The man has changed, and he must now navigate the social landscape with a new, authentic self. This transformation requires a shift in how he connects with others. He is no longer seeking surface-level interactions. He now craves authenticity and depth. He may become more selective in his relationships, drawn to those who can appreciate his quiet strength and who do not require him to be something he is not. His friendships and partnerships become more meaningful because they are not based on performance, but on genuine mutual understanding. The silence has created a filter, sifting out the superficial and revealing the truly valuable connections. The man who has found his stillness can now communicate with a new level of honesty. He no longer needs to use words to distract or to impress. He can speak directly from his core, with an integrity that comes from knowing himself. His newfound honesty, however, can be jarring to those who are not used to it. He will no longer shy away from difficult truths, and this can be perceived as coldness or bluntness. But it is not. It is the directness of a man who has no time for pretense. He speaks his truth, and that is a rare and powerful gift. This new reality, while challenging, is also liberating. He has built a new foundation for his life, one based on inner truth rather than external validation. He is no longer a man at the mercy of others' opinions or expectations. He is a man who has taken ownership of his own being. His life is no longer a reaction to the world, but a conscious creation. This is the profound, empowering outcome of a man who has had the courage to go silent and do the deep work. The man who has undergone this journey has stepped outside the rigid boundaries of societal expectations. He is no longer defined by his career, his status, or his possessions. He is defined by his internal state, his peace, his wisdom, and his integrity. This is a radical act in a world obsessed with external metrics of success. He has learned that true value lies not in what he can accumulate, but in who he has become. The silence has been the fire that has burned away everything that was not essential. This transformation allows a man's authentic self to shine through. The old self, with its masks and pretenses, has receded, leaving a clear and powerful light. This light is not loud or flashy. It is the quiet, steady glow of a soul that has found its home. It is an inner peace that radiates outward, attracting those who are also on the path of self-discovery. He has become a lighthouse for others, a beacon of what is possible when a man has the courage to go inward. The man who embraces his silence learns to be, rather than to do. He is no longer driven by the frantic need for constant action and achievement. He has learned that stillness is not stagnation. It is a state of active presence and deep receptivity. He has found that true power lies not in external action, but in the ability to be fully present, to observe and to understand the world and his own place in it, without needing to control it. He is a man in a state of flow, attuned to the rhythms of his own soul. This is the ultimate truth of a man's silence. It is not an escape from reality, but a profound return to it. It is a journey that reveals that a man's greatest strength is not in his external power, but in the unshakable foundation of his inner world. He has built a temple of self-knowledge and peace that no external force can shake. He has become a man who is whole, a man who is dangerous, and a man who is free. And so the next time you encounter a man's silence, will you see it as an absence or as the presence of a deeper process? Will you fill the void with your own anxieties, or will you honor the space and trust that a profound transformation is underway? What truths have you been too afraid to face in your own stillness? If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's start a conversation that goes beyond the surface and into the soul. What do you think about the power of silence? Leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story is a vital part of this conversation, and if you're hungry for more deep dives into the human psyche, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. The stillness you seek or the stillness you witness is not a sign of a flaw. It is a sign of a profound awakening. You are not running away from the world. You are simply taking the sacred time you need to find yourself within it. You are not broken. You are simply in the process of becoming whole.